beginning. First thing I do is breathe. Where does the air go? What does the diaphragm do when I breathe in? What does the diaphragm do as I use the breath? Contracts back in, okay? The air comes into my folds, my vocal folds. What do the folds do? Yeah, like little hummingbird wings. Yeah. And in the morning, when we wake up, we call it morning voice because all night long the folds have just been lying there. And so the folds, when you wake up, it takes them a while to get to this part, okay? So when they're vibrating slowly, like a bass fiddle has the big sound, the strings are very thick, it makes a low sound, like that. And then eventually, after you've talked for a little while, your folds are vibrating nice and you get to your regular voice. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Okay, so my folds have vibrated, then what happens? Vibrations, reverberations, where are they? My whole body. Okay? Really, 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 really important. So stand up. Come on in. How are you? I know you from. Have I met you before? Yeah. Puna. Huh?
But my name is Puna.
Oh. Are you from India?
Yes, I am.
Ha ha ha. And your name, yes. I have to get used to all kinds of nationalities because my son Ivan, who just turned 29, he's in the Marine Corps. He plays the saxophone, and he spent 3.5 years in Okinawa in the Marine Corps band there, which was an amazing experience. And he met a beautiful a woman from Thailand. She's actually getting her master's so that she can teach English. And Jess is having a hard time believing that she really wants to do that. I'm trying to encourage her to. But anyway, when my son got shipped over there, I said, well, I have no desire to go to Asia and the Orient, so bye, see you when you come home on trips and stuff like that. And then when it was announced that he was coming back to America, and he told me about Jess and that they were getting serious, I thought, well, maybe I should go over. So I did. About a year ago, a couple months, oh my gosh, I just fell in love with, just really in love with Thailand. And he said, let's go to Tokyo for a few days. And so we did, and we just had, what an amazing place. And so clean, cleaner than, you could eat off the streets in Tokyo. It's so clean there, it's unbelievable. And then we went to Okinawa, and I got to meet his friends, so it was really cool. But Jess is going to help me learn all about lots of other Asian cultures. So, as a musician, I have a lot of Asian friends because, as you know, Asians tend to come to America to have musical careers, which is nice. But and my wife in college shared boarding rooms with a lot of Asian women who were coming to Indianapolis to study music. So she had this one roommate who was called Ming, and I called her Chicken Wing. I think she was from China, I can't remember, but she loved to have Cynthia and I join her for all different kinds of chicken wings, and she would fix them all different ways. So I didn't even call her by name, I called her Chicken Wing. She thought that was the funniest thing in the world. Americans would be so offended by something like that, and she was endeared by it. So anyway, it's so cool to be in front of you and to be in your presence. All right, so we'll put our hands down, we're going to relax, and literally going to take when I say, a breath in through our nostrils, and then I'm going to ask you to hold it. All right? I will tell you when to let it go because there's a couple things I want you to do once you have the breath inside of you. So, we're going to breathe in through our nostrils. Hold it. Now, while you're there, see if you can relax your tummy and put your shoulders back down where they were before you took the breath. And just make yourself feel pregnant. Let your belly fall against your belt buckle. Yeah? Now let the air out slowly through your mouth until you're literally almost out of air. Just keep pushing the air all the way out and see if you notice anything that's happening right around your belt buckle. Now that you know what my agenda is, let's do it again. We're going to breathe in through our nostrils, real deep, and hold it. Now let your shoulders go back down. And see if you can get your tummy to relax against your belt buckle. And now let the air out through your mouth slowly and push all the air out till you just know that if you don't take another breath, you're going to die. And feel something happen with your body. We're going to talk about it in a second. Okay, anybody, what happened as you let the air out? Well, first off, When I asked you to relax your tummy after you took the breath in, was that hard to do? Yeah. Yeah. Because when you're told to breathe, we tend to do what? We go, we suck our tummy in, don't we? We never do that when we're breathing. You don't realize it, but if you can become more cognizant of it, when you're just breathing naturally, asleep, walking, whatever around, every time you breathe, your belly relaxes, because that's where your diaphragm is. It's just your natural impulse. But if somebody tells you, breathe, and worse yet, they say this phrase, which is against the law in voice class. You don't take a breath, you just breathe. When someone says that, you go, and we suck it in, right? We suck in our gut. So I want you to be aware of the fact that you never do that any other time. So when we're giving our speeches, when we're doing Toastmasters, we're not going to do that. All right? Great. What else did you learn? Anybody? What did you learn about your tummy when you did that? By your tummy, I mean we're right behind your abdominal wall, where we like to have those six packs, like this young man has right here, is where the diaphragm is. So is the diaphragm voluntary or involuntary muscle? In other words, can I move my diaphragm?
Yes.
No. No, I cannot. But I can move my abdominals. So everybody pant. What you're doing right now is, by panting, you're actually moving your diaphragm, but you're really not. You're moving your abs. Make sense to you? And your abs, it's not just six packs, by the way. If you work out, you know, like the yoga person, wherever she is, you know that your abs go all the way around your body. You have back abs too, right? And you have lower abs below your waist, all right? Those are really important to know when doing public speaking and singing as well. So did anybody notice something happen to that area when I asked you to push the breath out as far as you could? Anything happen?
My navel center goes towards my spine.
Exactly. She said her navel center goes toward her spine, which is exactly what should happen. Because when you don't take another breath, the diaphragm gets the message from your brain, uh-oh, we need more air, so the diaphragm does all it can do to help the air come out of your lungs. Make sense? Okay, now let's take another one. Now that you know all that, hands down, relax. It's warm in here, I know. Okay, and now we're breathing air into the room. In through our nose, real deep, hold it. Oh, you're so much more relaxed than you were 5 minutes ago. And out through your mouth slowly, and feel your tummy move. Okay, good. You can sit down for 1 second. Okay, get back up. Any questions? Please don't leave today not understanding something that I've said, so that when I say any questions, that's your time to ask a question, and there's no stupid person in this room, and there's nobody who cannot ask a question. That just doesn't fly with me, all right? Yes?
Yeah, my question is, when you ask her to hold our breath in, and then you said drop your shoulder and relax your tummy, why do you do that? I feel like my tummy feels tightened all the time.
Right.
When you say relax it, I feel uncomfortable.
Ah, yeah. So you must have tension. Yeah, and having tension is not like a personality conflict. You hear what I'm saying? We all have tension, okay? And I'm going to talk about where tension lies, especially for singers. We talk about this a lot in teaching voice. And high school kids, I teach high school kids voice. And it never ceases to amaze me how 14 to 18-year-old children have lives that are extremely stressful. In fact, I think it's right now in American culture the most stressful time of a person's life. And do you know why? It begins with parents who have a plan for their children, and they think that that plan is the only plan that's going to make them a successful human being. Well, guess what? They need to explore and experience and learn all on their own and make mistakes. And when they come into my studio for a voice lesson, I call it sacred ground, because most teenagers don't even spend a half an hour behind a closed door with one of their parents a week. So I have a half an hour with this child. I hear all kinds of stuff. I hear about you and their lives and their tests, because I always say, how's it going? And after a while, they learn that Mr. Arden really wants to know how it's going. Why do I want to know how it's going for them?
That affects their singing.
It affects their singing.
And their breathing.
And their breathing. So how we're living, how we're handling ourselves, to answer your question in short, does impact how how we handle ourselves physically, all right? So if I were you, I would do a yoga class, I would do some deep breathing. Yeah, you're laughing because you know I'm right? Yes. Yeah. And when she's laughing, what part of her body is helping her with the laugh? Diaphragm. Yes, diaphragm is in charge of yawning, burping, laughing. It is. And hiccups. Okay? Any other questions before we go on? We can talk about that more some other time.
Would that help if I have a 15-year-old?
You need to breathe. Yeah. I do some stretching in the morning. I'm going to get off topic a little bit, but it will help you. And some of the stretching is deep breathing. Yeah, it's part of my morning meditation. I'm a Christian person, so I incorporate some Eastern meditation traditions with my Christian faith, and I find it liberating. If I don't have time to do anything else in the morning, I make sure I spend 5 minutes doing that. And it involves what I just did. You heard me take a huge breath. So I'm aware of my breath all the time. And when I do, I feel my whole physical presence expand. And I know this is going to sound really spooky to you, but I have a man who I call my spiritual father, and he went, I forget what country it was in Asia, but he went and studied meditation with some monks, where they sat in a lotus position for hours. So he said so many hours that his whole body went numb. And he learned about what the word meditation really means. And Cliff would teach in a more Christian setting how to incorporate your thought. And this is for you. So you could breathe in and you could say, I am a good mother, and out would come, and I will love my children. That sounds really esoteric and kind of spooky, but I guarantee you it will change your whole mindset. Because every time you do something like that, you're sending a message to your unconscious, to the unconscious part of yourself that's positive. Because deep down inside, we all have a computer. The computer is logging everything that happens every single day. Before computers were invented, actually, God invented the human computer, our brain, right? So we have this data center, and it takes in everything all the time. We can change the data center. Actually, studying voice and speaking is changing the data center. That's all it's doing. So I encourage you to try that. Okay, so no more questions? Great. So one of the things that I use for helping people to project. Now, I heard all kinds of voices in the room. It was so fascinating to hear you introduce yourself and hear the different voices. Some of them soft, some of them very resonant. What is your name? Ken. You have a very resonant voice, and David has a resonant voice. And there was another woman that had, I forget who it was. Anyway, so I listen for those sorts of things. Sometimes people have natural resonance. I'm very gifted. I was born with this big mouth, and it just comes out of me. All right. So I've had to learn how to teach that and how it works. This person that I met in Barrington, she's in her 70s, and I was able to get her to understand how to use her vocal cord, her vocal folds and breath in a way that produced more sound. It was a miracle, really, truly, but really it does. And all of us can do this. So I have these things called sirens that I teach my voice students, and sirens are just, they're little vocal exercises, and I have them on these sheets here today. I'm not going to give them to you yet because I want you to pay attention to me and not be looking at the sheet. I know how that is when you get something, a handout. You look more at the handout than the teacher. So when we do vocal sirens, we get our mind